Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to one of our last webinars of the evening. We're really happy to host this roundtable today, organised with the framework of the launch of vMeet 365 Space, the online community dedicated to the space industry. The ambition of the community is to launch an all-in-one platform, including a wide range of services, which will gather the space community 24/7. Its ultimate objective is to help accelerate the space industry and shape the future of the sector. We asked our ambassadors present here today to be part of the project in order to co-create the platform together with us. During this roundtable, these experts will share with us their vision of the community and their views on how to enhance interactions between members of the community, how to foster innovation and shape tomorrow's industry. Mark Vallis from Dassault. The first question, what is your vision of the community, Mark?
Yes, Maxine, I think that if I would like to use a few keywords, I would say that awareness, access, exchange, link, easiness, reactivity could be the key internal targets inside of the community. And the things that we should avoid is to have project, contracts, competitions, intelligence, because all those can find other means or business tools elsewhere that in the community. And for what regards what can be the visibility by the outside, maybe the openness, diversity, completeness, easiness, reactivity also could be the visible key target that we should have, avoiding to have excessively focused advertising or debates, which can be covered by other means, other media elsewhere. So the community should be focused, I think, on the accommodation of the real interest. Maybe if I would like to make a comparison, I would say like maybe the community could be a kind of virtual supermarket for space application for customers. So they just can come and from outside and have a look, and from the inside, it's a kind of retailers cooperative association for which we put our skills together. We can accommodate also public entities, of course, but we should not try to copy an agency. This is my point of view, because they always exist. So, of course, the digital platform, which is really well tuned on the rules of use, I think can be really help to drive such kind of vision. So in synthesis, the community could be a way to be more reactive than today, not waiting for the space agency to push or to pull our projects. It can concentrate some friendly ecosystem to have some cross-fertilization of skills and ability, and to propose solutions which are driven much more by the collective intelligence than by just one. And at the end, all this can contribute to the motion of space down to the citizen individual. As a daily tool, not only as a target, but space as a tool.
Steve from AST Science, what is your collective vision of the future of the challenges of the space industry?
Hi there, and thank you for inviting me to take part in this panel. I'm going to talk about the question in three areas: money, regulation, and also our appetite for risk and how we deal with it. So I think money is definitely something that's required in the space industry. We're historically known for being a very expensive niche opportunity in life. We also know that governments, which have funded a lot of space activity in Europe, are really going to have the challenge of having driven up their national debts to deal with the pandemic, where they're going to save money in the future. So where is the funding going to come from to enable us to take our great adventures into space forward? Well, I think if we look to America, we've seen the rise of the billionaires. I know that some of them are very controversial, particularly in the space community, but the growth and the bringing in of commercial funding to develop new capabilities and new projects that link things back to what people want and do on Earth, who are not necessarily interested in space, I think is key. Taking some of the burden off the taxpayer, who has an awful lot of things to pay for, but also how we drive it forward. So in my vision, I think we'll see more industrial, commercial people investing their own money in space and developing its capability. I think the next step is also about regulation. I mean, we have this huge problem in LEO with all the debris and stuff that's flying around, and people want to bring more things in, myself included, as part of that, as we provide capabilities for people on Earth that they haven't had before and solve some of our problems. So, you know, air traffic control for LEO definitely has to come, or space traffic control. That is a prerequisite, because while a lot of people worry about, you know, the rise of the mega constellations and all that sort of thing, they do bring a lot of services which other people who are not interested in space and Earth will want. And therefore, if you want to justify to them spending taxpayers' money on things that we do need the government to pay for in space, you're going to have to make sure they appreciate and get services from it that they need. That is so important. And then the final bit I wanted to talk about is really, and I like Elon Musk in this respect, his ability to make what some people regard as disasters and mistakes in public, but he really characterizes it as learning. You know, you launch a rocket, you try to land it, it fails. Then you land it and it falls over into the sea. Then you finally land it successfully. That is amazing. You know, the likes of ESA can't do that. They're so terrified of making mistakes in front of the taxpayer and wasting a lot of money that it really holds things back. And every project then becomes more and more expensive to the taxpayer. The taxpayer doesn't like that. So I think an ability in Europe to break out of that and focus more on the learning from doing these things in public and making space exciting is going to be an exciting part of the culture as I see it going forward. So that's my answer.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, so Pierre from Airbus, how can we help fostering innovation in the industry?
Thank you, Maxime. Thank you for having me in the panel. So yes, I work in innovation. And innovation is in space. I think that's the best job in the world, by the way. But lately, it's been difficult because innovation is often created when you talk to people. And with the COVID crisis, it made informal discussion, coffee chat, and so on happen much less often. So I think the platform for me to support innovation can do several things. The first thing is get people with different backgrounds to meet who are interested in a specific theme. And it can be environment, it can be firefighting from space. There is plenty of topics. But if you bring those people together, this is, I think, where ID can be generated. ID are generated where you bring two different experience perspectives to the same topic and you find something new. And for me, this is really interesting. Second, let's say, way in which the platform can really help for innovation is that once you generated an ID, maybe for 10 IDs that you generate, 9 are silly IDs and 1 is a good ID. And to find which one is the good ID out of those 10 is not obvious. And you need some talk with customers, talk with experts, talk with people who can challenge you. And this is, again, for me, one an area where a platform can help a lot, where it can bring people very easily, very quickly who are interested in testing out innovations because they can benefit from innovation. It can be customers, it can be partners, it can be startups, it can be big groups like my groups, but bringing people together to actually test ideas, I think, is one really important way where we can help to support innovation. And finally, I would say that innovation, I agree with Stephen, need money. It's not going to work if you don't have money. And we need people who can support, finance, fund, are interested, maybe one of the billionaires, if we have a great idea and you think that's good, that's a way to start a project, because without money, it's hard to do things in space. So I think that's, for me, the ways that I would expect innovation to be supported by the platform. and also a way to meet people. I think talking about space topic for me is my favorite activity. So I hope to meet some of you, same interest, and to have really interesting and discussions which lead to nice and very, let's say, socially impacting innovation.
Thank you, Pierre. David from Northrop Grumman, the same question, please.
Yeah, sure. And yeah, just big thank you for inviting me to join this, and just a big thumbs up for the platform, which has worked excellently today. Yeah, so I'm just building really on what Pierre said. So I think I've got sort of three themes. The first one is very much about networking. So joining together organizations, whether they be big or small, whether they come from the academic world or from the finance world, joining together organizations and individuals is really where, as Pierre said, where innovation happens, and particularly individuals with passion about their subject. And joining a community is all about having interest and passion. So it is that networking together and also joining networks together. So you might know somebody that knows somebody, and you can join those people together. So I think that's really important. I think the second one about innovation, and lots of people always say innovation is about new technology. And it doesn't have to be. It has to be about using technologies in a different way, which may be new, but it could be reinventing other technologies to use them in a different context, or even bringing in other sectors. So a space community, we might want to bring in the agricultural sector or the motorsport sector, or somebody else to say, actually, if we bring these things together, we can do something differently. So to me, innovation has got to include all those themes. And then finally, and it links really to the first two, but I thought I'd have three things, was really around really being sort of a system of systems, and how to take a few ideas and potentially a business model from somewhere else and join them up in a different way. So really to bring a system of systems view to say, actually, we can solve a problem by bringing a few different things together, maybe not all in the same company, not in the same country, but how do we do that across the world to actually solve problems? So that's my sort of three things. So networking, innovation, to drive success.
Great, thank you so much. Molly from Space Commerce Matters, how can we enhance interactions between members of the community to face new challenges of the space industry?
Thank you, and thank you, Maxine, for inviting me to be here today. I think I'm probably going to build a lot on what David and Pierre have already said, because really we have a community here that brings us all together from the space industry, and we can meet new people, but really new challenges facing the space industry involve innovation. And one of the best ways to innovate is to bring in people who are not necessarily part of our industry. What can we do as a group, as a community of people interested in space, to bring in those non-traditional users to space? Can we use space to do things like solve sustainability issues or climate change problems, or at least look at those solutions? Because while we may not be suffering from them directly in space, climate change, changes in weather patterns are definitely affecting launches. And sustainability is something we can even understand, as Steve was talking about. All the debris in low Earth orbit is just as bad as all the plastics in the ocean. So bringing in these non-traditional users to not only solve the problems, but also help fund solving these problems is really the way I see us coming together as a community and really being able to help and face these new challenges of the space industry. And I can say, obviously I'm American, and one of the things that when I worked at the ISS National Lab we did was actually get Target to sponsor $1 million challenge to help with cotton sustainability. And I think it's a great example of a way you can get non-traditional space companies to come in and sponsor programs to bring solutions to problems that maybe they're on Earth today, but in the future will help us with space, or they can help us solve space problems now because they're looking at the problem very differently.
Christopher from Modular Devices, how do you define the chain value of the industry, and why do we need to connect all year long?
Well, engineering and innovation is all about problem solving in unique ways. So a lot of people are looking at very similar, if not the exact same issues that they need to try to resolve, and quickly, especially in the supply chain. So commerciality in space is going to be dependent on that supply chain being reliable, repeatable, and operating in a commercial manner. Historical legacy space systems were not that at all. So I think this is a critical point for the entire industry to push forward towards. And as to why to try to keep connected all year long, I don't know, issues, projects, tasks, assignments, they seem to come up all the time. So if there's a readily accessible place where somebody can reach out to the community and say, hey, is anybody else looking at this problem? Is somebody found a solution? It's invaluable. The same thing, people are coming up with solutions every day as well. It's be a wonderful place to be able to go, oh, these guys solved that, and now I can talk to them and figure out how to move on.
Let's go to Numa. Why does the space community need a platform?
Hi, thank you for the last question, but not the least. Yes. So for us lawyers, the question of the forum, of the jurisdiction is crucial. And platform is a little bit like a forum in this sense. Of course, we have a lot of initiative in space. Space is a very active sector. You have a lot of groups, interest groups. We have also a lot of usual stakeholders. But on the recent years, we really saw that this industry is opening up. You have, as you mentioned, as the panel mentioned, there is a lot of new companies, new profile coming up in the community. There's new needs. There is a huge expertise as an offer, and also a huge demand of knowledge, of new interest. So it is actually crucial to have a way to gather and to gather our interest. And a platform is the ideal forum for that. Because the question is not to validate the fact that we need to be together in this community. We need to have an access for this community. And a platform, a 24/7 available platform, is the best way for us to achieve this access. And because we need to work as an agile mode in order to involve anybody that is willing to work and to make progress in this industry. So now let's make it happen, right?
Thank you so much. I'd like to thank everybody on the panel for taking the time this evening and giving your views on the platform. Everyone that's watching, I invite you to go onto your presentation sheets. There's a tab that says VMIT 365. Please go in, have a look at the platform, enjoy it, and become one of our members. Take advantage of the offer that we have at the moment and use it. And hopefully by June, we can all connect via the platform and have a great community in the space industry. Thank you everyone for your time. Have a great evening, and please do join us for our closing ceremony. Have a good evening.